Hello and welcome. You're watching News Connect on DD India. In the next 1 hour, we'll track all the news developments, national, international. We'll get you the latest top trending international stories as well. But first up on News Connect, these are the top stories, the headlines. Campaigning intensifies in poll-bound states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses rallies in Tarakeshwar in West Bengal and Tumulpur in Assam. Prime Minister also calls upon Mamata Banerjee to concede defeat as people of West Bengal are all set to usher in change. Senior BJP leaders Amit Shah and JP Nadda on campaign trail in Tamil Nadu. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi on campaign trail in Kerala. Increased cases of corona in Maharashtra, Punjab and Chhattisgarh become cause for concern. State governments have taken strict initiatives. Night curfew meanwhile imposed in Pune records a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 7 crore 30 lakh vaccine doses. Union Environment and Forest Minister Prakash Javadekar expresses concern over climate change, calls for more effective steps to stop the effects of climate change as India is affected by climate change. In international news, Bangladesh announces countrywide lockdown amid a surge in corona cases and deaths. Lockdown to be imposed from 5th of April. US scraps Trump's sanctions against ICC chief prosecutor and a top aide. Sanctions imposed on prosecutor Fatou Bensouda last year after she launched an investigation into alleged war crimes by US military personnel in Afghanistan. And in sports, Italian tennis star Yannick Sinner reaches Miami Open finals. 19-year-old youngest player to reach the finals of Miami Open after Rafael Nadal. He will be facing Poland's Hubert Hurkacz in the summit clash. And on News Connect, the top story this weekend. Campaigning has intensified in poll-bound states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, addressed a poll rally in Tarakeshwar in Hooghly district of West Bengal this afternoon. Prime Minister Modi accused the ruling TMC government led by Mamata Banerjee for its dismal track record with regards to development.
इन लोगों ने पंचायतों को लूटा, पंचायत चुनावों को लूटा। हालत ये है कि शासन प्रशासन की कमान भी टीएमसी के दफ्तरों को दे दी गई है। ऐसी सरकार आपने कहां देखी जो इस बात पर गर्व करती हो कि उन्होंने शिल्प को रोका है, उद्योग को रोका है। सिंगूर के साथ इन्होंने कितना बड़ा धोखा किया, ये बात मुझसे ज्यादा आप जानते हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also addressed a poll rally in Tumulpur in Assam. Slamming the Congress, Prime Minister said that the people of Assam will not tolerate these people who have insulted the identity of Assam time and again. Prime Minister also added that people of Assam will not accept those who have only given violence and instability to Assam for decades. He added that people of Assam are with development, stability, peace, brotherhood and harmony.
असम की पहचान का बार बार अपमान करने वाले लोग असम के लोगों को बर्दाश्त नहीं है। असमों को दशकों तक हिंसा और अस्थिरता देने वाले अब असम के लोगों को एक पल भी स्वीकार नहीं है। ये साफ दिखता है, असम के लोग विकास के साथ हैं, असम के लोग स्थिरता के साथ हैं, असम के लोग शांति भाईचारा, सद्भाव, एकता के साथ है।
Prime Minister also took a jibe at the opposition for misinterpreting the terms of secularism and communalism.
दुर्भाग्य से देश में कुछ बातें ऐसी गलत चल रही है। अगर हम समाज में भेदभाव करके, समाज के टुकड़े करके अपनी वोट बैंक के लिए एक टुकड़े के लिए कुछ फेंक दें, कुछ दे दें, तो दुर्भाग्य देखिए उसको देश में सेक्युलरिज्म कहा जाता है। लेकिन अगर सबके लिए काम करे, जो भी इसके हकदार है, कोई भेदभाव बिना, कोई टिकड़े किए बिना अगर सबको देते हैं तो फिर कहते हैं ये कम्युनल है। भाइयों बहनों, हमारा तो मंत्र है सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास।
BJP President JP Nadda, while addressing poll rally in Tamil Nadu, accused the DMK and the Congress for being parties of dynastic values and said that such parties do not believe in democracy. Nadda called upon people of Tamil Nadu and to reject DMK, and he said that DMK is losing the polls.
DMK and Congress party are party of dynastic values. Both DMK and Congress, they don't believe in democracy. They believe in the politics of dynasty. They believe in a family politics. And both the Congress and DMK have been rejected twice by the people of Tamil Nadu and by the people of India. And now it is the third turn when the DMK is to be rejected by the people. The Congress is to be rejected by the people of Tamil Nadu. The politics of opportunism, the politics of dynasty is going to go, and democratic parties like NDA, AIDMK, BJP will grow further, and because of your Ashirwadam, we will go forward.
BJP President JP Nadda also lashed out at the Congress and the DMK for alleged 2G, 3G and 4G scams, saying that the two parties have only given scams to the country.
DMK and Congress party both are known for 2G, for 3G, for 4G, for G. All this is known. And when I say 2G, it is the two generation of corruption of Maran family. When I say 3G, it is three generation of corruption of Stalin family. And when I say 4G, it is four generation corruption of Congress Gandhi family. This is 2G, 3G, 4G. And what does DMK stand for? DMK stands for, D stands for dynasty, M stands for money, and K stands for Katta Panchayat.
Union Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah held road show in Thousand Lights constituency in Tamil Nadu's capital Chennai. Amit Shah was campaigning for AIADMK candidate from the constituency for assembly elections. While talking to media after the road show, Amit Shah said the development of the state is not possible under Congress and DMK rule, appealing the people of Tamil Nadu to elect the government of double engine. Amit Shah said BJP and BJP-AIADMK-led government can protect the people of the state.
तमिलनाडु का विकास तभी हो सकता है जब भ्रष्टाचारी और परिवारवादी डीएमके और कांग्रेस को हम हराए। मैं तमिलनाडु की जनता को अपील करना चाहता हूं कि एक डबल इंजन सरकार बनाए जो तमिलनाडु सरकार के साथ साथ भारत सरकार का भी तमिलनाडु के विकास के लिए उपयोग कर सके। तमिलनाडु के सारे मछुआरे, तमिलनाडु के सारे बेरोजगार युवा, तमिलनाडु की महिलाएं और तमिलनाडु के आस्था में मानने वाले सारे लोगों का अगर संरक्षण कोई कर सकता है तो एआईडीएमके बीजेपी अलायंस ही कर सकता है।
Well, on News Connect, it's time to take a short break. We showed you all the election-related news. When we come back after the break, we'll talk about the overall COVID situation and the mega vaccination drive across the country. On the other side of News Connect, a short break.
Kitchen waste, green waste, dried leaves from the garden, which are a source of carbon.
The money we received from the government added to our savings all went into the rice mill. I was into athletics before going in for judo, which really attracted me. It is a wonderful sport for girls and very beneficial.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
Zari India.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Mui
Nous sommes land.
Nahnu hunud.
India.
Ma Hindi hasti.
Mung Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Middle East countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The Breakfast News, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on DD India.
Thanks for staying with us on DD India. You're watching News Connect. Let's now take a look at the overall vaccination and COVID situation. State governments have been making a wide range of efforts as well as to stem the tide of rising COVID infections across the country. Friday saw Chief Ministers of Delhi, UP, Maharashtra holding review meetings with all officials concerned to contain the spread of the virus among the people. Now, briefing media after holding a meeting with the officials in view of the prevailing situation, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said the situation is being monitored in future. If the need for a lockdown arises, the government will consult the people before taking any such decision. The Delhi Chief Minister said there is no need to panic as the government is taking all appropriate measures to control the spread of virus. Meanwhile, Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has said the possibility of lockdown in Maharashtra cannot be ruled out if the surge in coronavirus cases continue. Amid a fresh COVID-19 wave in the state that has seen the highest daily infections since the beginning of the pandemic in the last 2 weeks, Thackeray said the state will announce new restrictions within the next 2 days. From Maharashtra, moving on to Uttar Pradesh, considering the prevailing situation, the state government has ordered schools to remain shut for students from class 1st to 8 till the 11th of April. Varanasi district magistrate has issued prohibitory orders in the district considering the rising number of cases in the area. The order says if people are found not wearing masks and practicing social distancing in shops, they will be sealed. And over in Madhya Pradesh, team of officials have visited Ratlam, Khargaon, Baitol and Chhindwara. These are the districts where largest number of fresh new cases have been cropping up in the state. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has appealed to the people to show restraint to ensure reduction in the spread of the virus. Karnataka government has issued a new set of COVID-19 guidelines and took a slew of decisions as the state is witnessing a surge in coronavirus infections. According to the new set of restrictions imposed, gymnasiums and swimming pools will remain shut and theatres will allot only 50% seats. The apartment complexes are asked to shut their own party halls and clubhouses to curb the super spreader events. Gatherings and functions are prohibited in Karnataka, places of religion, but individuals are allowed to offer prayers. No rallies or dharnas or fairs will be allowed till April 20th. The states also have suspended physical offline classes from 6 to 9 standards. Classes will continue for those in 10th to 12th standard. However, physical attendance is not mandatory. And now update on a nationwide drive of COVID-19 vaccination. India has recorded a milestone in COVID-19 vaccination with administration of over 7 crore vaccine doses. The country has also administered the first dose to more than 6 crore beneficiaries. As per the latest update, 7 crore 30,54,295 people have been administered COVID-19 vaccine so far. 30,93,795 vaccine doses have been administered on Friday, the 77th day of the nationwide vaccination drive. In a significant step to exponentially expand the country's nationwide vaccination drive, the country has decided to operationalize both public and private sector COVID vaccine centers on all days this month. And according to the update by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, once is registered on the CoWIN portal for COVID-19 vaccination, one does not need to register again at the vaccination center. The ministry has further advised people for vaccination registration related assistance to dial toll-free number at 1075. Well, as per an update by the Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, the centre has reviewed prevailing COVID-19 situation with all states, union territories. Maharashtra, Punjab, Chhattisgarh are the states with particularly worrisome situation. All states have been advised to diligently follow tracking, testing and treating protocols to promote COVID-appropriate behaviour. And now an update on the COVID-19 situation from across the country in terms of numbers. Over 50,000 people have recovered and discharged in the last 24 hours. With this, the total number of recoveries has reached over 1,15,25,000. India's total active caseload stands at 6.14 lakh today, comprising 5% of the total cases. The COVID-19 recovery rate in the country has touched 93.68%. And in India, testing for COVID-19 is being conducted regularly. The country has so far tested more than 24 crore to 69,59,000 people, 192 people. As per ICMR, 10,46,605 samples were tested yesterday. President Ram Nath Govinds' health has been improving. President's office has tweeted to inform that President Govind was shifted from ICU to a special room in the AIIMS today. His health has been improving continuously. Doctors are constantly monitoring his condition and have advised him to take rest. Earlier, President Govind was being shifted to the AIIMS in Delhi from the Army Research and Referral Hospital on 27th of March. His office informed that he had to undergo a bypass heart surgery in the AIIMS after complaints of chest discomfort. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu called upon the youngsters to take inspiration from India's glorious past and imbibe the spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. He has asked the universities and educational institutions to equip the students with 21st century skills so that they can emerge as job creators. Addressing the 50th convocation of Utkal University in Bhubaneswar in Odisha, the Vice President reminded the students and faculty of India's glorious tradition of international education, stressing that we should approach the tribals with respect and sensitivity. He said the paternalistic attitudes towards tribals is wrong. Bangladesh, amid a sharp rise in corona infections and deaths over the last several days, has announced that a countrywide lockdown to be imposed from Monday. Bangladesh Road Transport and Bridges Minister said that the lockdown decision was taken as the lethal virus is rising fast. The minister urged people to properly follow health guidelines to protect themselves from COVID-19. He said people must wear face masks and follow health guidelines amid the surge of coronavirus cases and deaths. On Friday, nearly 6,900 people were found corona positive in the country, which is the highest number since March last year, when the first corona cases were detected in the country. Organizations providing emergency services will remain out of the purview of the lockdown. Industries will also remain open. Employees will have to work in shifts following health guidelines. And let me quickly go across to Prasar Bharati correspondent Rajesh Jha joining us on phone line from Dhaka. Rajesh, overall, what is the latest situation in the preview of lockdown, and how is the government going to deal with the situation from now on?
Yes, Sakal, government of Bangladesh has announced that from Monday the lockdown will be imposed, and the lockdown.
All right, I think we'll have to connect with him again. Rajesh Jha joining us from Dhaka. Emergency services have been, in fact, industries will be remaining open. Employees will have to work in shifts, but it's a worrisome situation in Bangladesh where the lockdown has been imposed, now announced. And we're going to take a short break. Let's take a short break on News Connect. Once we come back, we'll go back to our colleague in Dhaka to tell us more about the coronavirus pandemic, in fact, in Bangladesh.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Central Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Thanks for staying with us on News Connect on DD India. Now let's take a quick look at the numbers on COVID-19 front from across the world. Cases of COVID-19 globally have crossed the 13 crore mark. More than 13 crore 8 lakh people worldwide have contracted COVID-19 so far, while over 10 crore 52 lakh have recovered from the virus. The deadly virus has so far claimed more than 28 lakh 51,000 lives globally. US remains one of the worst affected by the virus. The country has reported more than 3 crore 13 lakh COVID-19 cases. Over 5,67,000 fatalities have been reported so far in US only. Moving on, Argentine President Alberto Fernandez has tested positive for the new coronavirus in the antigen test. Argentine President turned 62 on Friday. He tweeted he is in a good physical condition despite having a light fever. He had also received Russia's Sputnik V vaccine against the coronavirus early this year. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Friday issued new guidelines to the cruise ship industry, including the need for COVID-19 vaccinations, a necessary step before passenger voyages can resume. The new technical instructions include increasing from weekly to daily reporting frequency of COVID-19 cases and illness, and implementing routine testing of all crew based on a ship's COVID-19 status, and establishing a plan and timeline for vaccination of crew and port personnel. CDC says the next phase of the CDC's conditional sail order will include simulated voyages to will allow crew and port personnel to practice new COVID-19 operational procedures with volunteers before sailing with passengers. The CDC said it would issue additional guidance before it allows cruises to resume. The Cruise Lines International Association, which represents Carnival Corps, Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean Cruises and others, had pleaded with CDC to issue new guidance, saying in March 24 statement, the lack of any action by the CDC has effectively banned all sailings in the largest cruise market in the world. In news coming in from France, President Emmanuel Macron has ordered France into its third national lockdown and said schools would close for 3 weeks as he sought a pushback for the third wave of COVID-19 infections that threatened to overwhelm hospitals. And with this, the death toll nearing a lakh. Intensive care units in the hardest hit regions are at breaking point and slower than planned vaccine rollout. His announcement means that movement restrictions already in place for more than a week in Paris and some northern and southern regions will now apply to the whole country for at least a month from today. Departing from his pledge to safeguard education in the pandemic, Macron said schools will close for 3 weeks after this weekend. He also said the vaccine rollout needed to be accelerated. It is only now finding its stride 3 months in which is 12% of the population inoculated. France has over 47,41,000 COVID-19 cases with over 96,500 deaths reported. Italian soldiers on Friday unloaded boxes carrying over 1.3 million AstraZeneca vaccine doses at the military base of Patrizia di Mare near Rome, which is ahead of the distribution across the nation. Italy was one of the number of European countries that earlier this month halted the usage of AstraZeneca shots. Most countries resumed administering the vaccine after the European Union's drug watchdog said the benefits outweighed the risk. Some 3 3,56,085 tests for COVID-19 were carried out in a past day, compared with the previous 3,51,221. Italy, meanwhile, has registered 109,847 deaths linked to COVID-19 since its outbreak emerged in February last year, the second highest toll in Europe after Britain and the seventh highest in the world. The country has reported over 36,29,000 COVID-19 cases to date. In Mexico, the Lucha Libre wrestlers are doing their bit in the fight against coronavirus pandemic, helping out at a vaccination site in Mexico City on Friday to support the elderly while receiving their vaccination. With marches suspended due to the pandemic, these professional wrestlers have been recruited to help apprehensive locals get their vaccine, as well as register locals and apply antibacterial gel to those getting their first close. And these wrestlers have proven a hit with the elderly, showing locals they too can be a champion in the fight against COVID by getting vaccinated. A unique way of getting vaccinated. And now let's shift our focus to Kazakhstan. In Almaty, residents on Friday received shots of Russian Sputnik V vaccine in the mobile hospital placed in the place of the Republic Central Hall. And for some of them, it was a long-awaited shot. Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev says on Thursday that he may sack the Central Asian nation's government if it fails to accelerate the COVID-19 vaccine rollout this month after a relatively low start. The former Soviet Republic launched a mass vaccination campaign in February using the Russian Sputnik V vaccine and has so far administered both of the required shots at about 47,000 people, which is less than 0.2% of the population, while only about 1,37,000 people have had a single shot. Currently, Kazakhstan stands at over 2,48,000 COVID-19 cases, along with the death toll past 3,000. Well, the Netherlands on Friday temporarily suspended the use of AstraZeneca COVID-19 for people under 60 following a death of a woman who had received a shot. About 10,000 scheduled appointments for vaccinations were to be scrapped as a result of the decision. The decision was made following new reports from medicine monitoring agency LAREB and discussions with health authorities. Dutch agency LAREB, which tracks medication side effects, says earlier on Friday that it has received 5 reports of extensive thrombosis with low platelet counts after vaccinations with AstraZeneca vaccine. Or roughly 400,000 people were vaccinated with AstraZeneca in the Netherlands in this period. Netherlands has over 12,87,000 COVID-19 cases with more than 16,000 deaths reported. We just slip into a short breather. On the other side, News Connect continues. More international stories, so don't go away.
Kitchen waste, green waste, dried leaves from the garden, which are a source of carbon.
The money we received from the government added to our savings all went into the rice mill. I was into athletics before going in for judo, which really attracted me. It is a wonderful sport for girls and very beneficial.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
India.
Salam India. Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Nous sommes l'Inde.
نحن هنود.
India.
ما هندي هستي.
Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Middle East countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The breakfast news, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on DD India. Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Middle East countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Namaste
land. مرحبا إلى الهند.
Salam India. Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Nous sommes l'Inde.
نحن هنود.
India.
ما هندي هستي.
Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India.
Thanks for staying with us on News Connect. Let's go back to one of our top stories on the sharp rise of COVID-19 cases in Bangladesh, following which the government there, in fact, has announced a lockdown from the next week due to the sharp rise in certain corona infections and deaths over the last several days. Prasar Bharati correspondent Rajesh Jha joining us live from Dhaka as we stay with these visuals. Rajesh, please fill in us with more information and what seems to be now the government's plan to contain, and how serious is the situation on ground?
Well, Sakal, since last few days there has been a severe surge in the corona cases in the country. These numbers have been every day there's a record, and yesterday, as you said, very large, the record number of people got infected. Now the government has announced the countrywide lockdown starting from Monday. In fact, a couple of places like Chattogram and a few other places in Dhaka were kind of doing partial kind of experimenting with the lockdowns, like shutting down of shops at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Chattogram had closed down all the tourist places on the beach of the Cox's Bazar, and these things were happening. But because the situation was becoming grave, yesterday the death toll, the 7-day moving average of the death toll in the country was the highest since March last year. So keeping in view all these things, the government made this in an announcement today. And people, the thing is that the factories and other things will remain open. They will be operating in shifts. Schools and colleges are already closed. Offices have already been announced. They have been asked to operate only on 50% of the capacity. These things are already in place. But there would be an issue with enforcement of the COVID-19 related restrictions. I was out in the city today and I could hear announcements being made by loudspeaker in the suburbs and outer areas of Dhaka that people should observe the 18-point directive that the government had issued on 31st. And all these tourist places in Dhaka, zoos and other things have also been closed. So government is trying hard to tackle and control the situation in Bangladesh. And let's see, there is a feeling that after 7 days, people are not very sure whether 7 days would be enough to control the COVID situation in the country.
All right, very quickly, now what seems to be the plan of the government here? Is this lockdown in effect till further notice?
No, the current decision is about 7 days, and the government has also been taking other steps, like government has announced that 2,500 new COVID-dedicated beds would be installed in the hospitals in Bangladesh. 2 days back, the health minister announced that 3 hospitals in Bangladesh, 3 specialized hospitals in Bangladesh will have around 300 additional beds for COVID patients. So currently it is announced just for a week, but depending upon the situation, the government will decide whatever, because the technical advisory committee had suggested almost 4 or 5 days back that government should go in for lockdown, especially in those areas which are gravely affected. You know, the positivity rate in the country has gone up from 3% to 23% in a month's time. On 28th of February, only 3% of the samples tested were found to be corona positive. But yesterday, that is on Friday, the figure was 23%, which is a very high figure.
Yes.
31 districts in the country out of 64 are found to be in high infection zone. So the situation is very, very grave, and it has deteriorated very fast. So this is the situation here in Dhaka and Bangladesh in general.
All right. Thank you very much, Rajesh. You please also take care of yourself, joining us live from Dhaka on a quick situation on Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, amid sudden spurt in COVID-19 cases that the country has witnessed in the last 24 hours. And from Bangladesh, let's shift our focus to Myanmar. In an update of the situation in neighboring Myanmar, protests continue against a coup. A protester was shot in the head in Myanmar's central city of Monvia this morning, adding to a rising death toll of more than 550 people who have been killed reportedly since the military overthrew Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. Opponents of the coup have held guerrilla rallies in cities and towns across the country, despite the severe crackdown by Myanmar's military, who has shut down mobile data and wireless broadband, cutting off access to the internet to most of the country's citizens. Well, in an update on the deadly accident that took place in Taiwan yesterday, one day after the deadly accident killed at least 50 people, rescue workers today have begun moving back part of the train in Taiwan's Huilan. The last carriage, which was relatively undamaged, having come to a stop outside the tunnel was pulled down the track and away from the site of the accident. The more heavily damaged sections of the train are still mangled inside the tunnel. The crash, Taiwan's worst rail accident in 7 decades, occurred after an express train carrying almost 500 people hit a truck that slid down a bank to the truck from a construction site. The train was heading towards Taitung from Taiwan's capital, Taipei. The accident happened at the start of the long holiday weekend, and the train was packed with tourists and people going home. Following the Taiwan train accident, rescue work, Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen expressed her sympathy to the families of the victims of the deadliest train accident in 7 decades today and thanked all those involved in the rescue work. Taiwanese prosecutors have sought an arrest warrant for the construction site manager of the truck. Workers on Saturday began moving the back part of the train, which was relatively undamaged, having come to a stop outside the tunnel, down the track and away from the site of the accident. Ministry of External Affairs has expressed grief over the loss of lives in railway accident in Taiwan. MA spokesperson Arindam Bakchi in a tweet said, and I quote, "We are deeply saddened by the loss of so many lives in the railway accident in Taiwan. Our deepest condolences to the family and our prayers for the early recovery of the injured," unquote. Well, another short break on News Connect. We'll be back.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Central Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Thanks for staying with us on News Connect. Thousands and thousands of people took to the streets in the Algerian capital on Friday, demonstrating against the political and military elite and supported the Iraq pro-democracy movement. The huge crowds filled the streets of Algiers, headed towards the imposing Central Post Office. The demonstrations marked a resumption of the street protest movement, calling for an old political establishment to depart and army to quit politics. Well, Bulgarians will be heading to the polls on Sunday for a parliamentary election amid a surge of coronavirus cases and following months of anti-government protests. Incumbent Prime Minister Boyko Borisov's centre-right GERB party is ahead in most opinion polls despite accusations of endemic corruption. Also, according to the national polls average compiled by the Europe elects on March 21st, the three-time premier would get a 28.4% vote share. The socialist opposition led by Koronalia Ninova was polling at 22.9% according to the same source, and even if a new poll released placed her party ahead of GRB in contrast to other surveys. Also, a number of smaller parties were also projected to enter the parliament for the first time. Last year, anti-government protests swept through Bulgaria, providing impetus for Trifonov's new anti-elite party. There is such a people, although he did not join the rallies, and two other groupings seeking seats in Sunday's vote. Well, news coming now from across United States, which has revoked sanctions on International Criminal Court prosecutor Fatou Bensouda that were imposed earlier under the Trump administration. It also removes Fakiso Manchoko, head of the ICC's jurisdiction, Complementarity and Cooperation Division from the specially designated nationals list. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said the economic sanctions imposed on the ICC chief prosecutor Fatou Bensouda and the top 8 in 2019 were inappropriate and ineffective and were therefore lifted. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo last year imposed sanctions and refused visas for the outgoing prosecutor Fatou Bensouda after she launched an investigation into the alleged war crimes by U.S. military personnel in Afghanistan. Moving on News Connect, back home, well, amid concerns of the problem of climate change that continue to grip our planet, Union Minister of Environment and Forest Climate Change, Prakash Javadekar, has addressed the SRCC Business Conclave 2021 via video conferencing today. He said that climate change is a major issue for the world. Although India is not responsible for it, the country is definitely affected by climate change, saying that it is important to find ways to safeguard ourselves from the changes in climate.
India is only 3% for carbon emissions over last century or 2 centuries. So we are not responsible for climate change. But because we are suffering, because we are vulnerable, and in any such crisis, in any such disasters, who suffers? The poor. And therefore, we have to be doing more actions to save ourselves.
And now let's peep into the past to remember the day's significance in the historic Dandi Yatra.
The symbolic Dandi Yatra, flagged off by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 12th of March this year as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations, left for Dindoli from Chhapra Batha on Friday. The Padyatris were joined by Chief Minister of Goa, Pramod Sawant, who along with them walked for a stretch of about 8 kilometers from Chhapra Batha till Udhna 3 Rasta. The whole entourage was received very warmly by women and children.
दांडी यात्रा में गोवा का प्रतिनिधि, गोवा का मुख्यमंत्री होने के नाते मुझे आज सहभाग होने मिला। ये मेरा परम सौभाग्य है और इस दांडी यात्रा के प्रति फिर से एक बार देश में जो सत्य, अहिंसा और जो धर्म है, और मुझे लगता है कि राष्ट्र के प्रति राष्ट्र भावना जगाए, राष्ट्र के प्रति प्रेम जगाना, यही संदेश सबको मिलेगा। इसीलिए मैं माननीय पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी जी का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ।
After resting in Dindoli, Mahatma Gandhi had reached the village of Vanj in Surat late in the evening of 2nd April in 1930. It was in the village of Vanj that many of Gandhiji's companions stayed, whom he had met during his stay in Africa. Thus, the excitement on Gandhiji's face was for all to see. Local residents Kalyanji Bhai, Kuvarji Bhai and Mithun Ben had welcomed Bapu then by lighting a torch lamp in the evening.
पूर्वजों के कहने के अनुसार गांधी जी ने पहला सत्याग्रह किया था ये नमक का उल्लंघन करने का, कि उसके आधार से अंग्रेजों की सरकार कमजोर बने। तब आए थे यहाँ सभा की थी, स्वतंत्र सेना भी आए थे, बहुत सारा प्रवचन किया, हरिजन लोग से भी बात की थी और सबको एकता का संदेश दिया था।
Vanj village of Surat district in Gujarat houses many epochal memories of Gandhiji's visit. 91 years on, 91-year-old Babu Desai fondly recollects Mahatma and his perennially relevant teachings. Cut to present date, the symbolic Dandi Yatra has reached Vanj on Friday, popularizing the immense contribution of all our freedom fighters in the independence of our nation. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now let's shift focus on news connected to some sports news. In Miami Open tennis tournament, Ashley Barty will be clashing with Bianca Andreescu in the women's singles finals tonight. Defending champion and world number 1 Ashley Barty comfortably defeated Lena Svitolina 6-3, 6-3 in the semis to seal her berth to the finals. In another semi-final match, the 8th-seeded Bianca Andreescu beat number 23 seed Maria Sakkari of Greece in a rain-delayed match to reach or make it to the finals. And in the men's singles semi-finals, Italian teenager Yannick Sinner defeated Spaniard Roberto Bautista Agut 5-7, 6-4, 6-4 to reach his first career ATP Masters 1000 final. The 19-year-old Italian became the 4th teenager to reach to the Miami men's final. The others like Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and Andre Agassi. Sinner will next face number 26-seeded Hubert Hurkacz of Poland, who advanced to his first ATP Masters 1000 final by beating number 4 Andrei Rublev. Well, with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of News Connect. But don't forget to tune to DD India tomorrow, same time at 4 p.m. for another weekly dose of News Connect on Sunday. Stay with us. Namaskar.